Federal employees back in the office could go back to maximum telework under a new bill in the Senate. The Pandemic Federal Telework Act would keep as many employees as possible working from home until the Department of Health and Human Services declares the pandemic is over. Jonathan Alboum, Principal Data Strategist at ServiceNow. He's former Chief Information Officer at the Agriculture Department. Jonathan, welcome back. It's good to see you. What does this act say to you about what's possible for agencies across government?
Well, I think at first thing it says is that we're thinking about the safety and protection of our federal employees first and foremost. We have to think about people and not places. Work is something you do. It's not necessarily something that you go to an office to do. It's not where you are. It's a thing, right? It's creating value and it's delivering on a mission. And this bill tells me that there's a recognition that value can be created from anywhere. And we're proving that across our agencies that have been teleworking for, upwards of 6 months at this point.
An agency chief information officer told me the other day, the employees that were productive in the office are productive at home, and the employees that weren't productive in the office aren't productive at home. Does that fit with what you're seeing as you talk to CIOs across government?
Yeah, it really does. The reality is that those of us who have managed teams before have recognized the need to be able to manage effectively, whether people are in the office or they are working from home, because it's about having a strong relationship with your employees and making sure that there's a clear understanding of what the work is and what the tools are to complete that work. And again, I think that we're proving by and large that across government, we have telework tools in place to make sure that people are able to do their jobs. I think, the challenge for some might be, do we have the right tools in place to always deliver on the mission? In a lot of instances, we still have some very manual processes. And I think, again, we're recognizing that telework is more than just connectivity into systems. It's having digitized workflows and, digitally transformed processes. So the work really can be done anywhere without a degradation in performance or degradation in service to the people that rely on our agencies.
The sense that I got, Jonathan, when this all started was that a lot of folks thought, okay, we have to transition to maximum remote work in a matter of 24 to 48 hours. Some agencies, it took as long as a week to really get up and running. But I think folks thought, all right, this is a 3-month process maybe, and by summer, we'll be back to the office. Summer came and went, fall's here, winter's coming. Nobody's anticipating going back to the office en masse anytime soon. What does this look, forget about the legislation, what does this look like moving forward, and what do agencies need to think about in the next maybe 3 to 6 weeks to think about, what if this lasts till next summer? What if people decide, hey, I'm either going to keep working from home or retire, and agencies go, maybe we want to keep these people and let them continue to work remotely. What does all of that look like in your view?
So I think there are two pieces to that. One, you have to think about the future of work, and the future of work is going to be hybrid. We're in this telework mode now, and I think you're right. It's going to last for a period of time, but it's inevitable, in my opinion, that there will be some kind of hybrid setup for most organizations, public and private, where people are teleworking with maybe a greater frequency than before, but there are also people in the office. So in my opinion, what agencies need to be doing is they need to make sure that they have the right tools in place to continue maximum telework for as long as possible. So that means having the right networks in place and software and hardware, and having a robust hardware asset management program, software asset management program, so that all these technologies they acquired, as you described, can be properly managed. But at the same time, I think agencies need to be preparing for the eventual day when employees do come back into the office, and they should be thinking about how to make sure that their workplaces are safe. And, on the House side, there's a separate piece of legislation that recently passed, the Remembrance Act, that's focused on making sure agencies have plans and that they can provide PPE to their employees, they can perform health screenings and understand their employees' needs as part of that return. I think if you're focusing on today, but you have an eye towards tomorrow, and that tomorrow will include some kind of safe return into the workplace, agencies are going to be better positioned as the environment continues to change.
So what does the combination look like strategically, Jonathan, of that safe return to work, safe continuation of work when people do come back, and that hybrid environment. What do the infrastructure strategies look like, do you think? What do the investments need to be? That kind of thing to support this hybrid model that we're thinking about. I mean, we're thinking about 2022 and 2025.
Yeah, I think in some cases, it is initially harder, right? Because you're maintaining a robust digital infrastructure and a physical infrastructure. Right now, agencies are not moving to shed themselves of office space or real estate. But I think that, potentially that's something that could come out of this, and we could have streamlined approaches to where employees come into an office. We have more space than we need in some cases. And, we already had this move previously where we tried to do hoteling, some other things, and maybe we have, that comes back as we start thinking about ways to pare costs. But really, I think that the most important part is making sure that the mission can be delivered under any circumstances. So I go back to looking at the processes that our agencies had to adjust and innovate on very quickly when the pandemic hit, and thinking about how do we optimize those processes now to work in an entirely digital way. In some cases, we put remote technologies on top of manual processes. Maybe we added video conferencing or digital signatures. But really, it's still the same manual process with some digital add-ons that make it possible to operate during this period of time. The future is different, in my opinion. The future is a optimized, fully digital process that operates on the schedule of the citizen, of the customer of that agency, and not around the schedule of the agency's operating hours. That value chain is completely and dramatically changed in the private sector at this point. We can order our groceries when we want. We can shop for books or electronics when we want. We can do things on our own schedule. And I think that's where the government has to shift to over the next several years, that complete and total digitization of key processes in our agencies. And that would be my longer term focus for CIOs out there.
Jonathan Alboum, thanks very much. As always, great to see you.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.